And so, we shall go to war.
The first and most important aspect of determining your military foreign policy is the war philosophy of your nation. You have three possible war philosophies available. The first is unrestricted wars. That means you have no restrictions on claiming enemy systems. However, it doesn't mean you can use every type of casus belli, and we'll get to what those are in a moment. Next, we have liberation wars. This no longer allows you to claim enemy systems on the aggressive. You cannot offensively claim their systems, declare war on them, and then take their land. However, anyone that declares war on you or is a Gestalt consciousness, so not a regular biological empire, you can claim their systems. And this is the only way to unlock the special ideology casus belli. Finally, the most restrictive war philosophy is defensive wars. If you have this set, you can only claim the systems of an enemy during a defensive war. That means a war in which they have attacked you. Let's deal with the first case when you have your war philosophy set to defensive wars. A neighbor has just declared war on us. We now need to choose what we are going to do about it, what our policy is going to be in this war. There are two ways of doing that. Either click on the missing war goal icon in the top left of your screen, or down at the bottom right of the screen, you'll get an icon representing this war with both your flag and the flag of the other force. If you click on that one, you'll get to the same page and you can click Set War Goal here. Once you've chosen your war goal, you'll then be able to choose different types of peace offers. And basically the way these work from left to right is good for you on the left, bad for you on the right, and status quo, or kind of the neutral option, in the middle. If you hover over the tick or cross icon, it's going to tell you what the modifiers are as to why you're not able to get that peace. For example, we chose the conquer war goal and we claimed some of their systems. However, we don't occupy those systems, we don't occupy the planets in those systems. And that means there are some big negative modifiers pushing the AI away from accepting our demands of their surrender. And if you're enjoying this video, please conquer that like button. We can now see what the enemy war goal is. They are trying to conquer some of our systems. They have claimed some of our systems and they're then trying to conquer it. So there are a couple of war goals apparently available to us, though some of them we cannot currently click as they are grayed out, meaning we haven't quite fulfilled all of the requirements. We don't have a specific casus belli. The first one here is humiliate. With a humiliate casus belli, in the case that you win this war, it will force your opponent to lose all of their influence. They will get a minus 33% penalty to influence generation and minus 10% happiness for 10 years. Additionally, if they're in the supremacist stance, that will get changed to belligerent, and you will also gain 100 influence. In addition to that, if you have captured any systems that you have claimed, you will keep them after the end of the war. And in the case of a status quo peace, each side keeps all of the systems they have fully occupied if they have claims on them. In order to choose the conquer war goal right off the bat here, we are going to need to make some claims, so I'm going to show you how to do that. There are lots of ways of getting to the claim interface. The first and possibly easiest way is to click on claims on the left hand side, and then we can simply select systems to add claims to those systems. As you can see, there is an influence cost to making claims. Therefore, we can't really make many claims unless we've got lots of influence to spare. Once I have made all of the claims that I'd like, I can simply click make claims here, and then these claims are locked in. It's also really important to notice you can only claim systems that you have intel on, that you know the existence of. That's why it can be very, very important to get intel and spy networks on an enemy before you go to war. It's also possible to reduce the cost of making claims with enemy empires down to 0 influence. This means you can simply make as many claims as you want, and it's completely free. If you'd like me to make a video on that, please let me know in the comments down below. It's relatively simple, though it does require a little bit of RNG. If I now go back to my set war goal, I can both choose the conquer war goal and the humiliate war goal. It's important to note that humiliate does everything conquer can do, plus with some more negative penalties for your enemy and some more positives for you. That means that a humiliate war will probably take longer to achieve peace, as you're almost certainly going to have to reduce the enemy to 100% war exhaustion, whereas with conquer, you're only going to need to get enough war exhaustion so that they will accept the claims you have. We cannot pick either of the make tributary or vassalize war goals until we have a subjugation casus belli. Even if you start a war with only some systems claimed, you can continue adding claims as the war goes on, and they will simply be factored in to the claims. Here, if I add the system of Neri, I make another claim, and we go back here, we can see there are now more unoccupied planets and more unoccupied systems that we are demanding to achieve our war goals. What about the next level up, liberation war philosophy? In the same way as with a defensive war goal war philosophy, I cannot claim any systems of anyone that has not already declared war on me. I do, however, have access to a new war goal, and that is the impose ideology war goal. If you go for an impose ideology war and you are successful and force the enemy to surrender, you will force the enemy empire to change their ethics to become the same as your ethics, and also they will leave a federation if they are a part of them, and you replace their ruler. So it is a complete change of government. However, you are unable to claim any of their systems and take any of their land. This can be useful for splitting up a federation and forcing new empires to form that are friendlier towards your political agenda and your goals, and you could possibly then form a federation with them. What happens in the case of a status quo peace? Well, all systems that are fully occupied by the attacker will turn into an empire with the attacker's ethics, just like we had managed to completely demand a surrender from the enemy. However, you're only taking a chunk out of the empire. The rest of the empire still exists, and the defender keeps their capital regardless of any occupation. Now we get to unrestricted wars. That war philosophy is going to basically allow us to do almost anything we want. As you can see, I can claim systems here without currently being at war with my neighbor. However, in order to go to war, you are going to need to do some things. You are going to need to set some things up. Because at the moment, I haven't got any casus belli. I have no reason to go to war. And in Stellaris, you must have a reason to go to war with your neighbors, with any other empire. The first and cheapest way to go to war with another empire, if that's what you want to do, is to get hold of the animosity casus belli. In order to do that, we must declare the other empire that we want to fight our rivals. To declare another empire your rivals, you simply need to send a diplomat over there to harm relations. And then we can declare them our rivals, and we're also going to get a bonus of 0.5 influence per month and reductions on claim costs. As you can see, I now have the humiliate or animosity casus belli ready to go. If I were to make a couple of claims on the enemy, I'm then able to go forwards with the conquer casus belli. While you can add extra claims once you start the war, if you start with a conquer war goal, if you are in an offensive war with another empire, the cost of all claims goes up by plus 100%, which is a really big deal. So you should definitely make all of the claims you want before starting the war. The last two war goals here are vassalize and make tributary. We need to have a subjugation casus belli on the enemy. How do we do that? You have to first demand vassalization or demand tribute from the empire you want to subjugate. Either they will accept your demand or they will refuse. If they refuse, you'll for 1 year get a subjugation casus belli. In order to be able to demand vassalization or tribute, the enemy must be inferior or pathetic compared to you. You must be superior or overwhelming in relative power, and both empires have to be at peace. Once they have refused your demand of tribute, you will then be able to choose either to make them a tributary or to vassalize your enemy. With this war goal, if you manage to win and force the enemy to surrender, they will become a tributary or a vassal of your empire, depending on which you picked before the start of the war, and any of their vassals will also be brought into the fold as subjects of your empire too. In addition, if they are in a federation, they will be pulled out of that federation. In the case of a status quo peace, all systems that are fully occupied by the attacker will be turned into a subject of the attacker, just like the ideology war goal, and just like the ideology war goal, the defender will keep their capital regardless of its occupation status. There are a couple more war goals I would like to cover, as there are some general war goals you should find in the early to mid game. In this video, I'm not going to be covering every single war goal possible. There are a whole host of other weird and quirky war goals you can find out there. If you'd like a video on those, please let me know in the comments below and I can make one. If a mega corporation has any branch offices on your world and you want to get rid of them, you can start an expel corporation or expropriation casus belli on the enemy. How does this one end up? Well, if you win, if you force the enemy to surrender, the corporation will have to close every single one of their branch offices on your worlds, and you will gain 1000 energy per branch office closed. In addition to that, you'll also gain any claims that you have occupied, but with a status quo, this is still quite bad for the corporation, as all of their branch offices will still close. However, instead of you, the attacker, gaining 1000 energy per branch office, the corporation will now gain 1000 energy per branch office closed. So if you have some pesky megacorps with branch offices and you want to get rid of them, all you need to do is declare war and then defend your borders ferociously and force a status quo peace. That will expel their branch offices from all of your worlds. In order to fight in a war, you are going to need a navy. If you haven't unlocked battleships yet, cruisers are the best class of ship at your disposal. If you want to know more about cruiser design, click the video on screen now.